All right, so let's talk about Leagues Cup. That happened last night. We had a truncated version this particular summer because it's a World Cup year and they want to get it right for 2023, where it's going to be a month long and a lot more expanded with every team in Mexico and MLS participating. But last night at SoFi Stadium, which is going to be a World Cup spot, they got it right. They got all the dimensions right. And the first game of the night was the LA Galaxy versus Chivas Guadalajara. Galaxy won 2-0, which I don't know if that Chivas Guadalajara coach is going to last too much longer. I think they're currently in 14th or 15th.
I thought it was Chivas USA for a second.
Well, you know what? That's LAFC. That's LAFC. Chivas USA.
1.0.
1.0. Anyway, so Galaxy actually played pretty well. Their young guys came out and were ready to go. And Joveljic scored again. I think that's 7 in 7 games for him. He's been absolute in fire, or 7 since June. He's been crushing it. And then we saw Club America versus LAFC in the nightcap. There was a sequence, guys, in that game. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, or I don't know if Heath, if you were there. In about the 20th minute, there was a sequence from Club America that was sick. 15 passes, in, back, and through, created a good opportunity. LAFC ended up defending it, and Club America was all over them with regard to pressure. And LAFC played out of it, switched the point of attack, and I stood up in my house, and I started clapping. I was like, this is unbelievable that these guys on both sides, because Club America's not having a good season either at the start, at least in Liga MX, and it was just as good as it gets. Champions League, Real Madrid, Barcelona, whoever, like that was as high. I saw an incredible level from both teams, and I want to see more of that. And it did. It kind of went ebbed and flowed throughout that. But there was this sequence on both sides of the ball that both teams played out of some crazy defense, and the defense was super organized. And it was amazing. And I'm like, this is why we need to have these types of games. I don't know if either one of them can find it in Mexico or either one of them can find it in MLS, maybe in the rivalry games. But I like the Leagues Cup, and I like that this exists because I think it creates a great atmosphere and environment, which we saw last night. And I'm excited about the future of Leagues Cup, even though it does slow down the regular season in MLS a little bit. Heath, I'll come to you. What your thoughts on the Leagues Cup overall and the performances last night?
Yeah, I think there's two things that are going to create a national product in the U.S. That's the Leagues Cup or some sort of merger with Liga MX, because it's just so complex when you think about, if you were at MLS All-Star in Los Angeles last year, you would have seen the complexity of it. You had LAFC fans in the stadium. You had LA Galaxy fans in the stadium. You had your corporate fans. You had your Liga MX fans that are club specific. You had FMF fans, USMNT fans. You had all these things in one stadium, and everybody hated everybody. And it was a wild thing. There was fights, brawls, things go like people could not figure out.
So enjoyable.
Yeah. No, I mean, but when you think about soccer culture growing here, you don't want violence, but to see that sort of level of passion and a little bit of confusion in the stadium, because it wasn't, part of the issue for that game at SoFi yesterday, for example, was that there weren't barriered off supporter sections from what I understand. And therefore there is a lot of tension because there was some violence between Club America and LAFC at the All-Star game last year. Someone got hit by a baseball bat. I'm gossiping a little bit, but for supporter safety, that was a bit of an issue, which is why you probably didn't see as many LAFC fans as you would have otherwise. But when I think about that, it's opening up the salary cap so you can have some bad boys in the league that overspend, some people that you love to watch, but you hate them for their spending. And then also having this integration with Liga MX. Those are the two things that I think create a national product where, at least for me, myself, I will watch games over and over and over again, even if it's not my favorite team, because of those types of stakes. And those are and seeing the way that was, the intensity, the atmosphere, the attendance. Yes, it was a doubleheader, but to see all that come together, you can see what the potential of the future looks like.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. Charlie, what were your thoughts watching last night?
I think that when just what he touched on, gaining the popularity of the sport by getting people together to have that vibrant, crazy, attractive, entertaining experience, that's what's going to draw people and get like the popularity, because people are learning for MLS fans, they're learning what Liga MX is all about and learning the players and learning the rivalries. Now you're creating those within MLS clubs as well. It's fire. I'm all about it. I mean, the more competition we can have that is meaningful, not just like a friendly, you could be playing for your money, trophies. That's what's going to, I think, elevate this whole competition.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they're trying to figure out a creative way to do more and to tap into a natural rivalry with obviously the national.
Well, Jimmy,
team for
you
US
as a
Mexico
fan,
and
right?
clubs. Yeah.
You as a fan, if you're a Galaxy fan, you still don't want Club America to beat LAFC. Like, there's still been this, because of Champions League, there's still this pride of like, MLS needs to prove itself. And a friend of mine was sitting with the Club America fans yesterday in one of their big sections. And he said the common theme was that they are worried about the quality increasing quickly in MLS. That it is now going to overtake, because it overtook Liga MX in other ways in terms of, clubs having resources and facilities and an infrastructure that's different. But now the quality is starting to get closer there, that they are worried. And that's kind of a cool thing. So if you're an MLS fan, you naturally want to see MLS perform well, just like in Champions League against Liga MX teams. And it gives a different level of care that doesn't have to be just like my team or bust. There's more connective tissue in other ways.
Yeah, the president of Liga MX, Mikel Arreola, he went on the show with Herculez Gomez, a friend of ours, and said that they are a little bit afraid that MLS is closing that gap and doing it rapidly. I think that was a nice word to describe it, that gap. And every time we get to step on the field and perform, you're actually getting to see evidence that that gap is starting to close. So
for sure it is. There's
interesting
no doubt.
times, Charlie, because I think we might surpass them at some point. And not only that, I obviously Herc is hilarious on Twitter as well. And one of the things that he does is every time a youth American or a youth international from us signs over in Europe, he puts it out like that, a little cold face or a cold emoji, because we're not hearing a lot of news about young Mexican internationals going over and signing over in Europe, but you're hearing a ton of Americans. And so I think that's another sign.
It's like 5 or 6 players of players that I wasn't super aware of that are in Europe right now that had transfers over the summer from Mexico. And usually they're like Chicharito type moves, where of them. They're massive stars, start in a Youth World Cup and then like escalating. Right now, there's not a lot of them going to Europe. Yeah,
it's interesting. And so that's another sign. I don't know if, Charlie, if there's anything that's kind of a red flag for you in a positive way that MLS is gaining on Liga MX.
Well, I would think it's very simple to look at a player like Ricky Puig, who's coming over from Barcelona, who just signed with LA Galaxy today. He's 22 years old. This is a player who's unfortunately getting pushed out of Barcelona because of the financial turmoil that they're in right now. And they're trying to sign all these players that they, invested in, and they need to clear the space, right? And so even players who are established have to be moved if they're not in Xavi's plans. Ricky Puig is one of those players who has had all this potential. He's played some meaningful matches, but now decides to head to LA Galaxy and come to MLS. Mm-hmm. That would not be possible if the league hadn't grown to the point it is now. You're not getting Gareth Bale, who has a World Cup to play in, to come to MLS now and think that this would be good enough for him to prepare. So the league is continuing to grow. It's attracting more talent. The more soccer-specific stadiums that are developed, it shows that people are invested in this league for the long term. Plus, you have the World Cup in 2026.
Yeah.
Now, even more teams and more people around the world are going to be kind of exposed to what this league is all about and what this country is all about when it comes to the sport. So we're heading in the right direction. The trajectory is incredible with Major League Soccer. So
that backdrop of the 2026 World Cup is a significant one.
Yes.
With regard to Ricky, what I think is interesting is that he's only 22, and imagine he comes and does well for the LA Galaxy. They go and sell him and flip him for 10, 15, 20, I don't know, 25 million.
Or you could keep else. Him forever.
Yeah, or keep him. But imagine if all of a sudden you had younger European superstars, potential superstars, coming over to MLS to get a couple of years of experience and some life experience, and then moving back. I mean, obviously Zlatan did it, right? He came over, then he went to Serie A and just helped AC Milan win the Scudetto last year. So there's an older version of that, but can we start to find a younger version? And Ricky could be one of the first to do that in a meaningful way. So I'm excited about that signing. I'm excited to see how he fits into Greg Vandy's project with the Galaxy. They clearly need some help in a couple of different areas. And given his experience and what we've seen of him at Barcelona, I think he could have an Ilie Sanchez type impact on the team where he just plays really simple and unlocks a lot of pressure and keeps the game moving and is a nice transition piece from the defense to the strikers up top. I'm sure Chicharito is going to appreciate having Ricky around. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that all plays out.